Totes.
Toats.
That it's like I can carry around something. Ratchet. Ratchet is when something's really good. Something's really good.
Okay.
Turn up. That's even better. That's like really, really good if you want to turn up something.
Okay.
Yeah. Killing it. Same thing.
Kind of same thing.
Yeah, like he's killing it. Like it's on the basketball court. It could be, playing guitar. It could be anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't even. You say that a lot of times when you're like, I can't even believe they did that. So if you can't believe something, and it's like shock. That's what you say. Yeah. I think I got this one right. I think it's kind of like saying baby, sort of, or like boo, but maybe it's just a different way of saying it.
Do kids say boo anymore?
No, I don't think they do. At least I don't hear them saying it. Every once in a while, us youth ministers and maybe your Bible class teachers are sometimes even bad about throwing out some big theological and biblical terms. And many times we're trying to do that, to try to teach our class or the teens that we're talking to some kind of idea biblically or some idea theologically. But the question is, how do you recognize when those words are being spouted out? How do you recognize when we're starting to use some words that, for most of you, you're thinking, why is he even doing that? Why is he even saying that? Because I really don't know what that means. So how do we recognize when that's really going on? I think it's a few things. Number one, when our youth minister or Bible class teacher is saying words that seem to be 18 syllables long and start to use and end with the word shun, usually we know that there's some kind of big theological thing they're trying to get across to us. Many times it's words like justification and salvation, maybe even sanctification. And then one word that I want to talk to you about today that goes along with our lesson is this idea of redemption. So let me ask you a question. What is the first thing that you think of, or what crosses your mind when you think of this word redemption? Or maybe this idea of being redeemed? I want to share with you a few ideas I think might help you connect with what redemption could really mean and be about. First, it can mean doing something that compensates for maybe a poor past performance or something like that. The thing I think about right off the top of my head is when we're in school and maybe we start the semester and we're kind of lazy and we're not doing very well and things aren't going so well. We miss a homework assignment, we miss a project or a due date, or we forgot about that quiz that was about to take place, and we get to class and we find ourselves mid-semester not doing as well as we really want to do. And so maybe our parents are kind of intervene and maybe say something to us, or we want to make better grades. So we really pick it up and we start doing all our homework assignments and we getting everything done, and things are starting to really do well. We finally get our report card at the end of the semester. And what we've noticed is that we've worked hard enough by this point all to redeem ourselves from our past poor performance. I also think about a football team, and maybe the kicker on the football team is there, and in the first quarter he has a chance to make a field goal. Everything seems right, but he misses it. And the team is kind of depressed about that. They go through the entire rest of the game. Getting to the fourth quarter, they're down by 2 now. There's 2 seconds left on the clock. Now he has a chance to make a kick and win the game. And so the snapper snaps the ball to the holder puts it on the turf, the kicker takes a couple of steps, kicks the ball, he looks up, and it goes right through the uprights, making that kick, and thus redeeming himself from the missed kick that he had missed previously in the first quarter. The term can also mean some other things. It can mean things like atoning or making amends for something, also can be redemption. It can also mean gaining or regaining some sort of possession or something in exchange for some sort of payment. Many times we know of this from things like gift cards and coupons and vouchers and maybe a trading stamp that we're redeeming for some kind of good or service, or maybe even money in some cases. Or you may pay the necessary money for some kind of debt, paying off a loan or paying off a late fee or something of that sort. Back in Bible times, it was a little different. Freeing someone or another from slavery or captivity by paying a ransom or debt would have been a way of redeeming them or redemption. Also, fulfilling or carrying out a pledge or promise. We make promises all the time that we're going to do things and say things and be places. Carrying through with something that we've committed to and we've promised to is also a way of redemption, and showing that something is being redeemed, redeeming that promise. So when you think of this idea of redemption and redeem, there's lots of things that pop in your mind. There's lots of different examples that we could use. But again, what comes to your mind when you think of redemption? What comes to your mind when you think of the idea of being redeemed or something being redeemed? I know this might sound a little funny, but when I ask myself this same question, which I thought was fair, if I'm asking you, I need to ask myself this question. The first thing that popped up for me when I thought of something being redeemed was actually Chuck E. Cheese. Growing up, my pick was not McDonald's. I love McDonald's and other restaurants and things like that. But if I could choose to go anywhere I wanted to go, it was going to be Chuck E. Cheese. And it wasn't really about the pizza. The pizza really wasn't that good. If you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese, you don't go there for the pizza, obviously. I also didn't go there for the electronic fur-covered animals, or robots, as we would say, like Jasper T. Jowls and Krusty the Cat and Mr. Munch and of course, Chuck E. the Cheese himself. That really wasn't the reason why I wanted to go to Chuck E. Cheese. It wasn't about the pizza. It wasn't about these electronic fur-covered robots that they have there. It wasn't really even about the games themselves. But if you've ever been to Chuck E. Cheese, and hopefully you'll agree with me with this, is that Chuck E. Cheese is really all about one thing. And that one thing is the tickets. Chuck E. Cheese is all about the tickets. And why? Because you can redeem all 6,000 of your tickets after you spend 3 hours of collecting them for 2 small candy bars and 1 bouncy ball. And it is fun. And it is amazing to spend all day there playing these games. And that's what we do. We walk in and we pay this money to this machine. We get our tokens. We go and play all these games. And we only play the games that are going to get the tickets that we want, because we have to take those tickets and go to that glass counter at the end right by the register and to redeem those tickets, those mini tickets, for some small prize that we have. And so for me, when I think of redemption, when I think of something being redeemed for some reason, that's the first thing that pops in my mind. But what about you? What do you think about when you think of redemption and being redeemed? Today I want to present something a little different to you. It really has nothing to do with Chuck E. Cheese or tickets or tokens or even prizes or anything of that nature. But I want to present to you that there's this idea that there's a different type of redemption, and it's more important than any Chuck E. Cheese prize or anything, any kind of prize from there that we can hold in our possession. And it's the redemption that we receive through Jesus Christ. You see, Jesus gave up His life to purchase our freedom from sin by dying on that cross for us. And He did this through His blood. In 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 6, I love the way the New Living Translation says it. It says, He gave His life to purchase freedom for everyone. He gave His life to purchase freedom for everyone. And so I want you to think about it for a second. It's this idea that all of us are slaves of something. Have you ever thought about that? I know many times when we think about ourselves, we don't think about ourselves as being slaves to anything or being a slave at all. Because many times when we think about slave, we think about someone in bondage that has no control, that can't do anything, that is not their own in many ways. But have you ever thought about the idea that you are a slave to something? The question is what are you a slave to? What weighs you down? What holds you back? What stops you from gaining your full potential and what you can really be in life? What separates you from God? As you sit there in the seat you're sitting in right now, I want you to think about that. Think about the question and looking at yourself and thinking, what is it for me that's really holding me back? What am I a slave to? Again, the truth is that we're all slaves to something. Maybe for you, it's your friends. Maybe it's the influences that they are in your life. Maybe it's your lust. Maybe it's the things that you're attracted to. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's even your schedule. Maybe it's even school. Maybe it's even the sport that you play. But we're all a slave to something. The Bible says in 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 19, they promise them freedom, but they themselves are slaves of corruption. For whatever overcomes a person, to that he is enslaved. So in a sense, what this verse is basically saying is that you are a slave to whatever controls you. So again, what is it right now in your life that you think is controlling you? So based on this, also on this definition, we could also say this, that we're all slaves to something. But the great news that I hope that you know tonight, and you know at this moment is this, is that we have the power to not have to be enslaved to anything. The Bible says Jesus bought our freedom. He did that for us. In 1 Timothy 2 and verse 6 again, it says He gave His life to purchase freedom for everyone. And even if we look at the Greek word for redemption, it's interesting. It actually refers to slaves who were purchased at a marketplace. And so in a spiritual sense, it's this, that all of us have been slaves to sin until Jesus purchased us out of the slave market so He could set us free from the bondage that we were under, which was sin. So at this time, as you sit there, I want you to think about this. And in fact, I want you to imagine what I'm describing to you right now. And this is a picture of what Jesus' death on the cross did to purchase our freedom that we hold right now as we sit here. I want you to imagine a busy marketplace, and this marketplace is hustling and bustling. There's people everywhere. There's lots of commerce going on. There's many people buying and selling goods. There's different smells in this marketplace. In the middle of the marketplace, though, there's more of kind of a stage. And you walk by and you notice this stage, and you kind of wonder why it's even there. And as you're walking around and are part of more of the hustle and bustle, you kind of walk towards that area to the center of the marketplace, and you catch yourself in the middle of this auction that's going on, but all of a sudden you notice one thing is different, that you're not a person in the audience anymore, but you're actually the person that is there being bid on. You are the person that's up there being bid on. And you hear the auctioneer, and he's going through all kinds of numbers, and they're getting higher and they're getting lower, and with each successful bid that is shouted, you look at the eyes of the ones that are there in the audience that are doing the bidding, and you're trying to size them up, and you're asking yourself questions like, are they kind, are they cruel, or what are they going to do to me? Are they mean, are they nice, and what's really going to happen to me? What's going to really be their purpose for wanting to buy me and purchase me? And just as that auction is winding down slowly, a stranger from the crowd walks up from the back, and he stands there, and he offers a bid that's 1,000 times higher than anyone else would ever bid. And it shocks you, and you think, there's no way that anyone would ever match that bid. That's way too high. Why would that person even do that? And the auctioneer hastily accepts that bid because it's so high. And so now you're looking in the stranger's eyes, and you realize that he isn't bidding on you to use you like you thought, but he's bidding on you to free you. And I want you to think about this, that's exactly what Jesus did for you and for me. He paid the price to set us free. Not to use us as a slave and not to put us in more bondage. He paid the price to set us free. He paid the price for our freedom so that we would never have to pay that again. And He paid it for you, and He paid it for me. He gave us redemption. He redeemed us, and He did this all through His blood. I want you to think about right now, maybe today you are a Christian, but you're not, or maybe you haven't been living in the freedom that you've been purchased with. And maybe you're suddenly allowing yourself to be controlled by your desires and your relationships and your lusts and your schedules and your fears, and maybe those are things that are really grabbing a hold of you and controlling you. In Galatians chapter 5 and verse 1, it says this, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery." So many people spend their lives seeking significance and freedom on man-made, dead-end things in their life to find themselves going nowhere but down and back. Yet here's the amazing truth. It's found in Psalms chapter 49, verse 7 and 8. "Truly, no man can ransom another or give to God the price of his life, for the ransom of their life is costly and can never suffice." The great news we have today is that the price of our freedom has already been paid for us. You have been bought. You are the redeemed.